going to be talking about text in HTML. And when we think about a website, obviously one of the key components of a website is text. We do have other media. For example, we have videos, we have images, but a lot of what we're looking at is going to be text. It's obviously very important we know how to use text as part of HTML. Now, we've already seen one way of using text in HTML, and that's with the paragraph tag. So we have hello world right now inside paragraph tags. We also have a way of designating a heading in HTML. And we use the H1, H2, H3 tags for this. So this is a first level heading, H1. So let's refresh our page. Let's take a look. Notice we have different font styles. So H1 is a lot larger than the text inside the paragraph tag. But we have 6 different headings. So we also have H2. This is a second level heading. Let's check out that. So we can see it's fairly large, but it's actually smaller than the H1. We then have H3. This is a third level heading. And I've just added the others in there all the way down to H6. So hopefully you can see how this works. In this case, the basic size of the paragraph is actually larger than everything apart from H3 and upwards. Now, what we're seeing right now is browser default styling. And we mentioned a bit earlier in the course that we actually make use of CSS to style different aspects of a website, including text. So we can actually manipulate the size of these different headings. We can also change the color. We can also change other aspects of the styling. And we do that making use of a style attribute. So remember, an attribute is something that we include inside the tag. So for example, on the H1, let's include a style attribute, and we're going to put its value inside these double quotes. Now, although the style attribute itself is HTML, the information we include inside the value of that style attribute is actually not HTML, it's CSS. And without going into a lot of detail on CSS, the way it works is it's a set of properties and values. So for example, we could take the property color and we can set its value to red. Now, if we refresh our HTML document, you can see the color of our H1 tag turns to red. Also, in terms of CSS, we could set something like font size, and we can specify a value in pixels. For example, if I set this to 50 pixels, it's going to be a very large heading. And we can actually set the size and the color for all of those text elements from H1 all the way down to H6. Even the paragraph, we can change color with the style attribute. So we could say style, and we can set color to blue. If we refresh, we can now see that our paragraph element font is blue. Now, there are some built-in tags that can help us style font as well. So we have underline, italics, and bold. So to experiment with that, let's paste in some dummy text. Let's refresh the page. Just in case you're wondering, we don't actually need any of this information down here. We can actually delete that from the page. And let's just imagine we want to set part of the first sentence there to bold. We can wrap it inside this B tag. If we refresh, we can see that part of the text that's wrapped in that B tag is now being displayed as bold. We can also do the same with italics. In fact, we can duplicate these tags. So we can actually put the I tags inside the B tags, for example. Let's close our tag. Let's refresh. So notice the first part of that sentence, not only is it bold, but it's also italics. Finally, let's take another part of the text and underline. So let's underline text of the printing and typesetting industry. So we can use this U tag. Let's refresh. So we can now see part of the text is underlined. We sometimes also see an EM element as well. So let's close that tag here. Let's see what that does. So you can see it's very similar to italics in this case. So italics and EM doesn't seem to be a practical difference between the two. Let's just test that by removing bold from the first part of that paragraph. So we're just left with italics. Let's refresh. So I can't really see any difference between the EM and the italics. Now, a couple of other tags that it's worthwhile being aware of. So first of all, we have the BR tag, and what that does, it creates a line break. And unlike the other tags, it doesn't need closing. So for example, if I include a BR here, let's refresh the page. We can see after typesetting industry, we actually now start a new line. And we can use more than one, so we can have 2 BRs, for example, and it's going to create 2 lines before moving on to the next part of text. So BR is very useful for creating vertical space. Another standalone element that's worth being aware of is the HR. What that does is it creates a horizontal rule across the page. Although one thing we probably don't want to do is use that in the middle of a paragraph. So what we could do in this case is we could actually end the previous paragraph, then make use of the HR, then start a new paragraph. We could have a style attribute as well here if we wanted to. So it's good to know some basic CSS, even though we won't talk about it in depth in this course. And then we could close that paragraph tag down here. Let's refresh. So you can see we have our blue paragraph, we have a HR, which creates a horizontal line across the page. Then we have a new paragraph, and we see the styling of that paragraph is pink. Just so you know, paragraph elements have some automatic separation. So for example, if we simply create 2 paragraphs there, you can see there's a gap between the blue paragraph and the pink paragraph, even though we didn't make use of BRs. Well, there are 2 BRs there. Let's get rid of those. So we see there's still a gap even after we've removed those 2 BRs. So there's a natural space with paragraphs. So that's pretty much all you need to know for text. And using this information, you can actually create a fully functional, but very basic at this stage, web page. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We're going to move on to some more advanced stuff in the next part of the course.